Hi, and welcome to the first half of a video capturing some moments from our recent trip to Norway. It's the penultimate week of October 22 and the middle of a Friday afternoon. A few last minute items get placed into our van and then we're off. In the rain we head towards the tunnel in Folkestone. Right, we've just set off to try and get to the Channel Tunnel. We're a little bit down the M40. Spanters for us to sleep. We've just had the most torrential rainstorm where everybody put their foot on the brakes instantly. It's died down a bit now. We'd arrived at the terminal building early. This left time for coffee and the purchase of a European road map from an AA shop. It had seemed quite good value for around a £5, but on closer inspection was utterly pointless with seemingly one country crammed onto each page. The terminal staff kindly let us board a slightly earlier train. This is our parking area near Eindhoven, and we've parked in a little wooded area. I found some donkeys, and the only thing we've got are some tomatoes. I don't know if you like tomatoes, do you? Do you want one of those? Yeah, you've eaten it now, haven't you? There's Loopy Loo. Last night we'd driven till the early hours from the shuttle to arrive at this spot near Eindhoven. We said goodbye to our Dutch donkeys and then joined the motorway and headed north. It was Saturday morning now, and we planned to arrive near the German-Danish border this evening to find a park-up. En route we managed to hit an autobahn queue of 2 hours caused by a bridge being removed. We breezed through the ports in Hamburg on the autobahn, being gobsmacked by the scale of the cranes, boats and industry that surrounded us on both sides.
Yeah, look. Okay, well, we're going to go here and we are going to explain why we're going here shortly.
We turned into park up number 2 later than expected. In the morning we rose, had a coffee and started our day's driving. Via a nicely stocked German corner shop for some cheese and fresh bread, we rejoined the motorway. It was nice to leave the limitless speeds of the German autobahn behind us. Pulling into the fast lane always seemed to be a bit of a gamble. We booked an early evening ferry that would take us from Hirtshals in Denmark to Kristiansund in Norway, so needed to drive the length of Denmark that day. With the exception of the ferry and small dockyard, Hirtshals seemed a bit of a barren place, but to be fair, we didn't really have a lot of time to look around. There were 2 ferries here leaving around the same time. We got on the right one and never did find out where the second one went to. There's Loopy on the ferry from Denmark to Norway. Oh yeah! Giving us a free buffet because it's the last trip on this boat, the boat going from Denmark to Norway. Samantha's going to be going up for 3rd helping shortly. She's just been to the bathroom to relieve herself of her first 2 helpings. With our bellies unexpectedly full, we drove off the ship and onto Norwegian soil. The customs officer was as thorough as he could be without asking us to stop and open up for a search. We pinned a few potential park-ups into maps. Being late, we chose one, drove there and settled down for the night. Waking up in Norway and having arrived there in the dark, we were eager to get moving and take a look around us. We filled up with fuel ready to take a slow crawl along the south coast in a westerly direction towards Stavanger. We stayed off the main E39 road and took as coastal a path as we could. The views were idyllic. Small islands, beautiful houses, houses on the islands, hills, bridges, beaches, lush green forests, everything immaculate and exceptionally well cared for. Even the road surfaces, a very rare treat for anyone venturing from the UK. We didn't spend as much time as we'd have liked on this stretch. We were being driven by a need to get to Oslo in a week's time for a day trip to the UK before returning to see more of Norway. We elected this first half of the holiday to do a loop taking in Stavanger and Bergen, then back across to Oslo. This place, called Anasira, was particularly tranquil. We took time to stop at a small shop here to replenish a few food items and then moved on, aiming to get to Jossingford for the evening. We arrived at our intended park-up. Yes, it was on a road junction, but there were no other vehicles around. We made food, had a drink, and looked into the history of this amazing place. Today, Jossingford houses a large hydroelectric power plant fed by the lakes high above it, plus the largest titanium mine in Norway. We couldn't quite understand this, but a couple of construction workers spoke of how deep the fjord used to be and that its base is now filling up. We're not quite sure what with and didn't necessarily understand the mining waste maybe. Don't quote me on this. We travelled higher up the pass and through more amazing scenery. Intending to arrive in Bergen that night, we made a choice to not stop at Stavanger on this occasion. There were many sites we were skipping, all of them giving a very good reason to return one day. Coming off the scenic coast road, we were now back on the E39. Travelling on this route, and many others in the country, there are tolls that you have to pay for things like ferries and tunnels, for instance. My understanding is that our choices were to either register a credit card with a travel company's website or to wait for a bill to arrive when you get home. We took the former option, as the latter is the more expensive ways of doing things. Either way, everything is seamless. You don't have to book a ferry, you just rock up and join a queue and get on the next boat. It's so simple. On one of the ferries, we spoke to a Norwegian long-distance trucker hauling gas. He had an amazing story about when he was young. His parents bought a large farm out in America. The family sold their house and quit their jobs. He left school and they started their journey out there to the States for a new life. En route, they met an American who offered them twice the money they'd paid for the farm they were venturing to. They took the money and returned to Norway. I'd say they did the right thing. I'd take Norway over the States any day. We never did really work out what the ferries and the tunnels cost us, but not knowing gave us a good reason to go round some of the tunnels and explore the smaller roads, and on occasions that would take us up high and exciting passes. We left the last ferry with only a short distance left to drive into Bergen. Approaching Bergen, we seemed to hit the rush hour combined with a small road incident. It didn't stop us for too long though. Believe me, traffic queues are quite a rarity in Norway. This, I guess, is because of investments in the transport infrastructure combined with thoughtful public services. Getting through the traffic, we ended up at a popular van park-up which is in a lively area about 3 miles out of town. There's a tram stop next door and plenty of food options, including a very good and laid-back Italian eatery. We popped into town using the tram, but didn't have a late night as the next day we were going to cycle. After breakfast, we took our bikes out of the back of the van and made them ready for a short trip. Right, today is the 26th of October 22 and we're in Bergen. We just got our bikes out and we've got a safe-ish, perhaps, maybe that's the wrong thing to say, parking spot. And we're going to have a tootle along and see if we can find the middle of Bergen and a little bit up the mountains, maybe to the Ice Valley, and see what's what up there. Okie doke, let's get on. Right, we're sort of near the middle of Bergen and we're sort of half following Google Maps. We've got a sort of destination up in the mountains, bizarrely, but we don't know whether we'll get there or not. Right, that's as far up Ice Valley as I want to go with that appropriate footwear. I've got some shoes on, they're absolutely soaked already. Walked up a path from the lake, quite a steep path that seems to have a running river going down it, and the path goes on up there, and that's really where we needed to get to, but we're not going to do it. So anyway, that's as far up the Isdal path as we're going to be going today. Right, we're at the bottom of Ice Valley, or Isdalen, which I think is what means Ice Valley. Yeah, we're not going to go any further now. I had a little look at the top. I got absolutely soaking feet. We've had a nice cycle ride down there though, which was about 12 kilometres to get here. It hasn't rained yet, but it certainly looks as though it's going to, doesn't it? By the way, this bike ride was inspired by the captivating BBC podcast Death in Ice Valley. We're on our way back from Bergen to the van, and we've been up to Ice Valley, around the lake with the dam at the bottom of it, and we've been to a graveyard to look for an unnamed grave, and we think we found it actually. It's very difficult to know though when a grave is unmarked whether you found the right unmarked grave. Very bizarre. I cannot get over the cycle tracks here. They're absolutely amazing. This is presumably an old railway. It was carved out of rock. It's brilliant. We found the cycle tracks in Bergen to be thoroughly just astonishing. There's so many of them, you seem to just be able to get absolutely anywhere. Bizarre. Apart from Sam sliding over on wet leaves, that was a totally enjoyable use of a morning. This is a little place called Dale, and it's at the bottom of a long climb up to Lake Hamlegrovetsnet, where we would be staying the night. Apologies for pronunciation, by the way. Storfossen Dam. We reached our massive lake at the top, which, by the way, we had to ourselves, and chose a good outlook there. We tried to have a fire later, so I cut some of the damp wood that was lying around to make ready for it.
We're up at a lake, can't remember which. We got a bit of a fire going, tried to. Let's see how it goes. Not convinced we're going to get anything in it. We've only got some dry charcoal fire lighters, and other than that we found some old wood on the ground.
Right, we're figuring that this means that through our rough translation, every now and again they pull the diggers to one side and will let however many queued vehicles there are through. Now, there won't be any queued vehicles because we're on a very desolate bit of high up road at the moment. We'll see what happens. As long as you don't watch a video or anything like that.
TV videos to watch, ones that are downloaded for
Having got down into the valley, we came across this massive Tavindi waterfall.
Right, we've just stopped on the side of a road. We didn't even know this was here. I'm sure it means we're not doing a very diligent job of working out what's around us, but here is a waterfall. Yeah, Samantha's just commented that it is a waterfall. You've confirmed it, haven't you, darling? It's definitely a waterfall, isn't it? It's quite spectacular, actually, that is. Gushing over the top. Wow.
Yes, there are roadworks in Norway, as there are here in the UK. Lots of it going on everywhere. The difference, though, is that theirs have workers in them, and they're not just stood around with their hands in their pockets. chap at the fuel station said we should look down here at this fjord. Hard one to pronounce, so apologies in advance. We think it's called Norway Fjord. There we go. That's what's at the end of that tunnel. Oh, this is where our tunnel entrance is. Right, let's go through the quarry this way this time. Look at that, was that a ship thing? Oh no, it's just like a man-made dock kind of. Oh no, they must be putting it on ships or barges. This train is at Flam on the side of Ålandsfjord. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. We're going up there somewhere. Right, this this is what we're about to go up. Oh, Christ knows what that is. Oh my God. What do you think of that, darling?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what this one way is. I think this must be because there's a one-way tunnel here. It says that you have to wait for up to 5 minutes. But yeah, that road system going up there, look at that map. I don't know what we're going to have when we get up there. I mean, outside we've got... Oh, I need to turn that off, don't I? Yeah.
It's not that bad now you look at it.
That is a mad map system, the hairpins and the loop backs. And I think some of that must be hairpins within tunnels or something because they're going on top of each other.
Well, it's obviously a tunnel or 600.
Yeah, but I've never seen hairpins. This must be tunnels underneath hairpins on the outside. That actually, I've never seen them all crossing over with each other like that. But you've never seen anything like it. Well, it's going to be very interesting. I can't wait to get us started on that, darling. We're on our way to Bergen in Norway, of course. But it probably sounds German the way I said it. It's very difficult to put on a Norwegian accent, I find. We're off, darling. Yeah, it's a sort of single track tunnel, isn't it? Which is bizarrely blocked off. It is blocked off. I don't know what's going on here. It's blocked off. But there's a turn, so they're doing a... Oh, I don't know. Perhaps they're working on doing something a bit different around there.
It's a rescue breakdown here. Let's click there or something.
Don't know. Yeah, it might.
Yeah. Push it out from both ends potentially.
Might do. Oh, now we see why. these hairpins are presumably going back over the top of the tunnel, which is well, they're all shown overlapping on the map. Metre height limit, which is fine because we've got a limit of yeah, I thought it was 2.9 metres we were at, but I never really known, to be honest. Anyway, here we are, partly up the loop, the system of switchbacks and tunnels. A great big wide tunnel, isn't it, this one? So is that? It went from like a single track to like motorway width virtually. Oh, and here's a flipping great long one, blimey. Well, that was pretty good. That was actually a switchback inside a tunnel. Close to it flattening off. This is the second to last hairpin. It's a good place to stop the night time. Well, I suppose so. I mean, we were high up last night. As long as it doesn't snow or something, it'll be fine. Be quite sheltered from the wind. Quite close to the snow line up here. Well, the sticks are used for guiding the snow ploughs, I think. No, you can't appreciate it unless you're here, I don't think. Yeah, it's turned much colder, 7 degrees it says on the dashboard. bakery to look at that. I end up with a side of loopy all sprayed. Are they just whitening it? Maybe they're just painting it actually. Ah, look, they're just whitening it. And yes, we're still wiping white spots of paint off our van right now. We stopped in a Kiwi supermarket in Hagafoss for supplies before looking for a spot to spend the night. Oh, we've got all this mist coming across the lake. This is somewhere where we've got to cross a bridge to go over to the other side. So we'll see what happens when we get up to it. And it can only be spray, can't it? It's not a misty day, it can only be spray from like water or something. We had to drive down what appeared to be a cycle track beside a lake. It looked like other people had done it, so that was okay. We ended up on a quiet, picturesque peninsula on Strandafjorden. The trailer park 20 metres in front of us was bizarrely a mobile sauna. Not sure why it was parked there. We now had 3 days left before needing to catch our 24-hour return flight back to the UK from Oslo airport. We'd head in that direction now and try and stay tonight in a nature park that was part way. The park had a barrier that required swiping a card for a few pounds to open. We were in and spent a quiet evening there. We were close to Oslo now and would have one more night in the wilds before arriving there. We'd spent some time looking at the map for a likely candidate for tonight's park up. If we were lucky and arrived early, we'd maybe also get a bike ride in. Another all too common fuel stop. Prices varied, but for those wondering, they weren't too different to UK prices if you shopped around. Wow, what an amazing place we've just found.
This is a lovely lake that we're camping the other side of. I'll do some video of our campsite in a bit. How you doing, darling? Elks or reindeers in the forest. We haven't seen one yet. We'd love to see one. We're going to follow this track and we're going to see if it goes right round the lake. There's little chance because I can see water both sides. We'll probably be coming back down this little track in 2 minutes time. This is a lovely e-bike, fat bike that we built. How long ago did we build those? About 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Wasn't long. I had mine built about 2 months ago, and then built this one for Sam. A couple of weeks before we came. It's my best job yet. I just need to get a cap on top of those electric cables at some point. We are going to be able to get all the way round. We're about 3/4 of the way around now. This is just gorgeous. What do you reckon that is over there? That's weird, isn't it? There's sort of a clubhouse thing that we never saw an entrance to it anywhere. And we've done a whole loop nearly. We're about 4/5 of the way round. 4/5 of the way round this lake. We recorded it on Strava. We'll say how far it is in a minute because I can't remember. Here we are back at the road. And our van is up here, about half a mile up here on this side. Look at that, wow. That's nice. That was one potential spot we looked at, but a little bit too much litter around the bin. Nice spot though. This is our location because I can see Loopy in there now. Oh, what a good ride. And there we are. Wasn't that brilliant? This is our idyllic little spot by the lake. Right. We got a lovely little path down to the lakeside edge on a warmer day. We'd have maybe had a fire down there. Someone's had a fire there. Look at that. Lovely. Beautiful clear water all around.
Of all the places we found to stay at, both first and second half of the holiday, we both agree that this was by far the best spot. Utterly amazing. The next morning we woke, had a coffee and set off heading towards Oslo. If we got there in time to find a good park up, we could then, weather permitting, have a good bike ride into town. It was time to get more muck off the van. There were parts where you could barely see the paint colour. In Oslo, we found the perfect park up at a ski centre on top of University Hill. We could now find time for a good ride into Oslo. Amazing coffee.
Yeah, but that's just a nicer route, isn't it?
Flattered that these two were so interested in our van, obviously thinking of upsizing. This was the first bit of litter we'd seen in over a week. After a coffee and a clean-up in the spotless, free outdoor toilets next to us, it's off to the airport.
go, it's 31st of October and we are at Oslo Airport to fly back for a single day.
Bloody bar here, Robert.
Oh, you're after a drink, aren't you? There won't be any bars, will there? They'd have all the pilots in there.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching.